again. It's us talking to a phone because nobody watches our videos. Anyways, last time we showed you how to make 2 levels of Harry Potter ones, but we mentioned 3. It's time to make things right. And by that we mean that we're gonna show you the 3rd level. The thing is, the level 3 is way more detailed and has a lot more work involved, so we decided to make a separate video just for this type of wand. We're gonna start with Harry's wand from the Harry Potter's universe. Jay, why don't you start explaining to them how do you start making the first steps of Harry's wand? Normally, we will have all of our things that we use here to show you how we make the wands. The thing is, we made this like 2 weeks ago.
Or 3 weeks ago.
So we already lost everything. Like, yeah, that's not good on the economics of my wallet, but I already lost everything. So we're gonna try and show you on the makings video. But right now, you just have to settle with us. Before you say anything, Jay, we gotta give credit where credit is due. We didn't come up with these methods. We investigated on the wide internet on how to make Harry Potter ones. We saw a bunch of different ways. Some we liked, some we didn't like, and some of them, like in this case on level 3, we mashed a few different methods together, but we got inspired by other people. Before we start, we mentioned that the level 1 ones were more like a funny party activity, or you are going to a costume party today, like in an hour, so you have to go fast, right?
Yeah, it's your last resort.
Level 2 ones are like, hey, the party, event, convention, whatever, is tomorrow, so you have a few hours to spend, right? Well, with these level 3 ones, the party, event, convention, hopefully, ideally, is like in a week, and you have at least 5 days to work on it because you don't want to rush it, and you have to do a lot of waiting time in between steps. And also, the level 3 ones are more, as David said, for conventions, maybe for cosplay photo shoots, maybe for, I don't know if you make TikToks or anything like that. Maybe a great gift for a Harry Potter fan if you have a friend that is into that, or a display piece if you are that Harry Potter fan, you know? These ones take more time, but they are the best looking. Alright, so the main difference on the level 3 ones, aside from any of the other 2 levels, is that these ones are actually made, at least at the core, of wood. We got some wooden dowels, I think you're going to be able to see them on camera, and we just cut them. We have if you see this, they're like PVC scissors. You really don't need PVC scissors, but we had them, so we're going to use them. The first for the Harry Potter one, we're going to use an, I believe is 11 inches dowel, because we made a little bit of research and we found out that canonically Harry's wand is 11 inches long.
Yeah, boy.
So that's what we went for. Then we got a little bit of I don't know how you call it in English. It's like uncorrugated cardboard.
That's literally the name.
All right, hell yeah.
It's non-corrugated cardboard.
We got non-corrugated cardboard, and we just sliced 8 inches tall.
8 inches
tall by 5 inches wide.
Alright.
Piece of cardboard. We glued it, and if you're gonna try and like glue just the edge and then roll it up and then glue the other edge, believe me, roll one and like place hot glue 1 inch at a time, because if not, you're gonna have one hell of a bad time trying to get that rolled up tight. And if you don't do that correctly, you're gonna have a squishy handle, and nobody wants a squishy handle, my man. Trust me.
And that's 100% true. If your wand has give to it, if it doesn't feel like a solid piece, it's gonna feel like a cheap toy. And if it does feel like that, you might as well just buy a cheap toy from Amazon.
So after that first initial wrap, we're gonna make a second initial wrap, but now it's gonna be 5 inches long by 5 inches wide. The thing is, we're trying to make this first part and then the actual handle.
So basically the first wrap, the one that's 8 inches long, is from here to here, and the second wrap is gonna be from here to here.
Now, obviously, when you cut your cardboard, it's not gonna be at an angle like this. You don't have to be super mathematic about it. Just draw with the pencil and then cut with an X-Acto knife. If you're a kid, get your parents to do it. If you're an adult, tough luck, man. You gotta do it on your own.
After that comes what I like to think it's pretty much the hardest part of the whole Harry Potter one, because you have to sculpt using hot glue. I mean, you don't have to use hot glue, right? We decided to use hot glue because it's pretty much the fastest way to do it,
And also the cheapest one.
and for that reason you have to buy pretty much like 5 bars of hot glue just to make the handle. You're gonna have 2 steps, one here and one here, and it just looks perfectly cylindrical. So you're gonna use hot glue to make it look like the nuts on a branch of a tree at the beginning and at the end of the second wrap.
Also, when you're doing this step, don't forget, sounds like a stupid idea, but really brings the details at the end. Don't forget to put just 1 drop of glue in some parts of the handle. Those 2 dots really bring back the look like it's an actual tree branch that you just ripped apart and sculpted one out of, like Harry Potter's wands look. So it's in the details at the end of the day. Try and don't forget to make those 2 dots. When they are like toughening up, like if they're already a little bit dry, grab a pencil and just make a little dimple in them. It looks silly now, but at the end of the build, when you're making all of the details pop up, they're gonna look fantastic. Sorry for interrupting you, David. You were saying about the sculpting?
Basically, you have to really bulk it up a bunch at the bottom, since it's the heaviest part of the wand. You're basically trying to make a pommel, and then you also gotta bulk it up, but not as much at here, right at the middle point of the entire wand. Your point is you're trying to make it look organic. I mentioned knots on a branch. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Come on. You gotta make it look very organic. If you want to put some thin strands of hot glue along the handle to make it look like the veins of a branch, that's also a good idea.
The next step is really simple. If you are crafting along with the level 2 ones, you probably already have some paper mache stuff. We're gonna use, instead of newspaper, we're gonna use toilet paper, tissue paper, whatever you want. And we're gonna place it on long strips alongside, not surrounding it, but alongside the handle. And don't try to be careful with it. Just grab a brush, place it like messily, put your toilet paper, and then mess it up more, alright? You are trying to make this look organic. Nothing is symmetrical in nature. If you make a little bit of a mess, it will make it look better. It will give it texture and wrinkles, like the cracks of the bark of a tree. That's what you're going for, okay? And after that comes the fun part, where you see all of your hard work so far come to life. You paint it. David, help me with that one.
It's actually quite a simple paint job. It's really fun because it's really easy. First, the handle, straight up black. Just black, not dark brown. It's black paint for the entire handle. At this point, and wait, there's more. Grab your default brown. If you go to your craft store and you see like light brown and then just brown and then dark brown, just brown, default regular brown, and give it a base coat to the entire wand. Then grab that brown that you used, that default brown, and mix it up with a few drops of red to make it, and a little bit of dark, like let's say 4 drops of brown, 2 drops of red, and 1 drop of black. That's a made-up formula. Go by eye. Don't trust me on that. I just made that up. It's just to give you an idea, right? To make a dark reddish brown, and that is gonna be just for this little part, this tiny step. So it's gonna be regular brown, dark reddish brown, and that's it. Just kidding. There's more. By now, your one looks a little bit better, but it still kind of looks like shit. What you're gonna do is basically bring all the details to the top, and that is gonna make it look like a movie prop. How you're gonna do that? I'm glad you asked. Him. Cause I don't know.
If anybody has done any little bit of painting in your life, or they're into that kind of sort of hobby, we're gonna use a technique that we are fairly familiar with this. If you haven't done any painting at all, it's a really simple thing. We call it dry brushing. We're gonna take our paint and a brush that we don't really care about, and we're gonna put a little bit of paint on that, and then we're gonna dry it as much as we can on a piece of newspaper, on your hand if you want, on anything you want, just to dry the paint inside. And we have only paint really deep inside the bristles, and then we are go really ham on this guy right here. Not so ham, okay, not really ham, just go ham. Not really, Just first of all, we did also a light brown or with the original brown dry brush just on the middle step right here, just to bring the wrinkles back to the top to make it look with some texture. Then on the last part of the last step, the handle, I mixed a color between that same goldish brown, but I added a little bit of dark green to make like a mossy green, like an earthy green. And again, just dry brush the tip of my brush, dry it on my hand, because that's a great way to see if you have textures. If you can see only the wrinkles of your hand and not at the bottom of your hand, you know that it's dry enough. So I went and again went through all the handle with the greenish brown highlight color, and now that brought it back to life. And that's how we made the Harry Potter Level 3 wand.
The Harry Potter Harry's Level 3 wand. Cinematic close-up right now, so get a beautiful shot of it. That was great. Thanks me. I probably did it myself. Like, not me. Now, the Elder Wand, aka Dumbledore's wand. This one, I gotta be honest, like I said before, credit where credit is due. I didn't even touch it. I didn't do anything to it. It was completely Jay. Of course, I'm gonna explain some parts of it just to keep the video dynamic, but I want you to know this was all him. This work of art was him alone. So he's gonna start with the explanation.
It wasn't that hard to make, but it was the hardest one out of all the ones. We use something that here in Mexico is called pasta das. I don't know how it's called in English. Maybe it's called like, I don't know, das paste, sculpting. It's basically paper-based air dry clay because this is made of wood. So we really can't stick it in an oven, you know? I did measure a lot of things online, canonically. So
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead!
So I know that the Elder Wand is, I believe, 15 inches long, give or take. So you can say like it's quite bigger than any of the other ones. I also measured the length of each of the bumps and the length of the spaces between each of the bumps. I'm gonna place a picture right here. You can pause the video, you can Google it. It's not that hard to get, actually. I did mark each of the bumps, and then I score it with a knife to help the clay stick to it, because I saw some people having trouble with that, and I didn't want to go through that. And that's how I made the first step. And after that, it's time to use the air dry clay, and that's where Dave is going to explain a little bit.
Also, super quick, just a side note. This is longer than the official toy that Warner Brothers sells. And we don't know the reason for that, because we looked at the Harry Potter wiki, and canonically speaking, this is the size that it should be. I'm not saying that Warner Brothers is doing their shit wrong. I'm just saying that Warner Brothers is saving a lot of fucking money. Super simple. Just grab your air dry clay and make, I'm gonna say like a snake. People in English say that. Make a snake of clay, obviously progressively bigger and thicker, and just wrap it around each of the sections that you marked. It's gonna be a little bit extended and it's not gonna be as thick. So once you wrap it around, grab a spoon and some water, or your finger if you want, and some water, and start to pack it up from the sides to make it a little bit chubbier in the middle, and also to smooth out the transition between the bump and the wooden dowel, right? So you pack it and you smooth it, and you pack it and you smooth it, and you pack it and you smooth it from both sides. Now, really important, the first 3 bumps have a different size dimples than the last 3 bumps on the handle. The first 3 bumps I just used again wet. Important to have wet when you're working with paper-based clay. Keep it wet, boy.
Okay, so first of all, now that you replace these 3 first bumps and now that they're fresh, you have to be quick, because if this dries up, you are out of luck. So first of all, you have to notice the first 3 bumps have a different size holes than the last 3 bumps. So right now I just grabbed the pencil. I kept it wet, you know, because it's really important to keep things wet if you're working with paper-based clay. I grabbed the pencil and I just went randomly through the first bumps. I didn't measure anything. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's supposed to look organic, okay? You're not trying to make it like a perfect machine, calculated, symmetrical stuff. Just make holes at random, but with a pencil. And after that, you have to be really careful when you work with this part, because you have to be careful to not touch this part while you're working on here. because this is still fresh. What I recommend is that before you work on this part, you finish this one. In my case, my wooden dagger was a little bit too thin for my taste, so I had to grab more clay and place it here on the dagger between the bumps and texture it as well. It was super easy. You can probably see on camera. There's no need for an explanation. Just add some clay, texture it with your nail, and you're done. We can go to the next 3 bumps and the handle, which was the most trickiest part.
And after you have waited for a day for these bumps to dry out, and also the clay that you pasted in the spaces between those bumps, now I want to work on the other side. There's a total of 6 bumps. 1, 2, 3 small bumps, and then 1, 2, 3 big bumps. These 3 bumps are made exactly the same way as the first 3. You make a snake of clay, you wrap it around the one, you pack it from the sides, and then you smooth it out, right? Same thing. Also a random amount of holes. We'll talk about that in a second. But what you do have to do this time is you have to put a lot of clay in the wooden dowel itself, because you really have to thicken it up to make it look that, well, to give it that look of a conical, quote-unquote, conical shape. So you really have to thicken this side up. What we did for the holes now is we grabbed the chopsticks from the level 1 ones, and we, of course, kept the point wet. Whenever you work with paper air dry clay, you have to keep your tools wet. And we used the point of a chopstick to make random holes at random places on random intervals and quantities from the start of the handle to the start of the pommel. Again, random everything. It's organic, it's nature. The less you think about it, the better it's gonna be.
Alright, so at this point we pretty much have all of the wand. Learn from my mistakes. I thought I could do this all in one go, and I messed it up and had to do like these 2 bumps again. Wait another 24 hours for the other half of the wand to wait, and then we can do the pommel. The pommel is a little bit trickier because you have to grab like a big chunk of clay and try to make like a cone shape, a triangle shape, and then I just stick my dowel into it. I didn't think of it too much, and then I blended it with the last bump. What I did also is with the same chopstick, since they already pretty much square, I also kept it wet and make lines alongside the cone to give it. Yeah, I make indentations alongside the cone just to give it that texture that I see in the picture. I didn't count how many lines there were, but come on, it's the part that you're gonna be holding. Pretty much no one is gonna be looking at it, and if you have it as a display piece, literally no one is gonna be looking at it. They're gonna be like, "Wow, that looks pretty good." They're gonna be like, "It has one more line than it should have. That's a fake replica." Okay?
And if they do call you and they're like, that looks like a fake replica, you can tell them, "Bitch, it is a fake replica. I made it. I didn't buy it."
So now, the last part, now that we've waited another 24 hours, 3 days of waiting because this thing takes a lot to wait. The 4th day is going to be really fast. We're going to need dark brown, light brown. That's what you're going to need. You're going to paint your whole wand dark brown, okay? And then you're going to notice that all the goddamn holes that you made are white.
Are still white.
So you have to grab one of your brushes with a thin point, the fine point, preferably number 7, if you know what brushes. And just go literally hole by hole, as you can see in that video, and paint them one by one until you are sure that every one of those holes is dark brown. And when everything is dark brown, you now just have to take a normal brush that you don't care for again and grab normal brown and just go doing the dry brush that we mentioned on the first, okay? So take a little bit of paint, dry it on a newspaper, check it on your hand to see if it's dry enough, and go through all the one. That will raise all the texture that we sculpted, that will erase all the edges of the holes, and it will look fantastic. And now I know what you're gonna say. I'm missing the goddamn Deadly Hollows fucking watermark in this part. Man, I was tired, alright? I didn't wanna do it. Just Google the fucking image, print it to size, cut it, grab some Elmer's glue and paste it. But bam, you're done. Also, don't forget to use 2 coats at least of matte varnish spray to protect them, because we didn't and it's falling apart.
You really need that protective spray paint, that clear protective spray paint, because the paint is chipping off. But that said, that is everything you need to know. That is everything we did, and we didn't know how to do it. If we are able to make it, and you are able to make it. Anything else you want to add?
No. I am really happy with how things are right now. My name, everyone, is Jay. It's been a pleasure to have you.
My name is David. I don't know why we didn't say that at the beginning, but thank you for watching today's video.
We still don't have an appropriate name for the channel, so we are called Jay and David. But if you watch this in a year, hey, now you know a little fun part of our story. So we'll see you
When we see ya.
Bye bye.